Welcome to Bad at Goodbyes. Each week on our show, we spotlight species from the IUCN Critically Endangered Red List. These are plants and animals with decreasing populations, nearing the edges of extinction. And so we'll share species research, information, and conservation proposals. And then we'll spend the end of the show opening a space for contemplation and awe. We'll perform a soundscape of gentleness, of reflection, of delight, and also maybe of grieving. Without conservation activity and significant societal shift, many of these species may not survive the 21st century. So perhaps we might acknowledge their journey with a moment of our attention, a recognition of our kinship, and with a commitment to personal and systemic change. Thank you for listening. On today's show, we consider the Arrayán. The Arrayán is a critically endangered flowering tree native to South America, specifically the coastal fog oases of the Atiquipa District in southwestern Peru. Its scientific name is Myrcianthes ferreyrae, and it was first described in 1958. A member of the myrtle family, the Arrayán is a small evergreen tree that grows roughly 15 to 25 feet in height. It has brown grayish bark, and many of its structures, so like branchlets, leaf stems, new buds, grow a dense layer of short, stiff hairs. This is an adaptation which provides additional surface area for water capture in their arid habitat. Their deep green leaves are thick and leathery, roughly 1 inch long and a ½ inch wide. Leaf shape is both ovate, so that's egg-shaped with the narrower end at the leaf tip, and also obovate, so that's egg-shaped but with the narrower end connected down at the leaf stem. The leaf's margins, that's the edges, are thickened and revolute, meaning that they curl downward slightly. The Arrayán grows inflorescences, flower clusters, of usually 3 white, 4-petaled flowers. The flowers open wide, like lay flat on their receptacle. That's the base of the flower. And they have very numerous, as many as 50 per flower, long, stringy stamen. That's the male pollen-producing organ. The stamen's filament, the thin, long stalk, is white to almost translucent in color, and the anther, that's the pollen holder at the tip, is a tiny, round yellow dot. The pistil, that's the female reproductive organ, is similarly colored. The ovary and the style are white, and the pollen-receiving stigma at the tip is yellowish. The flowers look like tiny, soft explosions, a white and yellow firework. The Arrayán is hermaphroditic, meaning a single flower has both female and male sex organs. It blooms from late December through late February in what is called a continuous or steady state flowering, meaning that the plant consistently buds and opens a small number of flowers each day throughout the flowering season. So contrast that to like a super bloom when everything flowers at once and wilts soon after. Here instead, the Arrayán spreads its floral resources over a 2-month period by opening just a few flowers each day. I could find no direct observation of the tree's pollinators, but given its nectar production and open flower form, it's likely that the Arrayán is pollinated by bees and butterflies, maybe flies and wasps. And then upon successful fertilization, the flowers produce a small, round, berry-like fruit that's about a 1/4 inch in diameter and is a dark purple or black when ripe. Each fruit holds 1 to 2 seeds. Again, we don't have solid research on seed dispersal, though, again, we can infer based on the berry-like fruit that the seeds are likely distributed by zoochory, so that's by animals. Most likely birds and possibly mammals who consume the fruit and disperse the tree seeds. The Arrayán seeds are recalcitrant, meaning they are only viable for a brief amount of time and do not tolerate particularly cold or particularly dry conditions. We'll go a little deeper into this later in the show, but simply low natural regeneration is among the threats facing this species. The Arrayán is native to Peru in South America, specifically to the lomas. These are coastal fog oases in the southwest of the country. The Arrayán is found in 6 distinct subpopulations in the Arequipa department in the Atiquipa District. This is about 300 miles south of Lima, right on the Pacific coast. These lomas are a remarkable and unique ecosystem formed from the confluence of ocean currents, air currents, and this coastal landscape where the foothills of the Andes Mountains meet the sea. This is an unbelievably dry region, seeing less than 1/10 of an inch of annual rainfall. It's considered a cool desert climate with mild temperatures year-round, ranging from the mid-50s Fahrenheit to the low 70s. The lomas are these green oases. Oases is plural for oasis. So these green oases that form in this barren and hyper-arid environment. Found from about sea level to roughly a half-mile up in elevation, and on the western slopes of the hillsides facing toward the sea. These pockets of vegetation are only possible because of fog. Okay, so time for some meteorology. Out in the ocean, the Humboldt Current brings very cold water from the south. Originating in the sub-Antarctic waters off the tip of Chile and moving northward along the western South American coast. As this very cold water meets with the warmer maritime tropical air mass off of the Peruvian coast, it causes that air to cool. And when the air cools to its dew point, water vapor within condenses into a cloud. In this case, low-lying stratocumulus clouds. Low-lying because the warmer air above this colder ocean surface air acts as a kind of lid, preventing the clouds from growing vertically. This is important because when these low clouds come ashore, they are blocked by the Andes Mountains to the east, held in place by the warm air above, and present, like to those of us on land, as a dense fog. Locals call it garua. So due to these climate phenomena, the lomas, these hillside fog oases, are regularly blanketed from roughly July to November in dense, moist air. As this dense, moist air moves through the hillsides, plant life, like the Arrayán, the physical structure of the tree itself, its leaves, hairs, branches, trunk, serve as a natural fog collector. Water droplets condense on these surfaces, which drip from the canopy and run down the trunk, channeling water directly into the soil beneath the tree. This creates a microclimate, a localized zone of collected moisture that sustains the Arrayán and allows for the establishment of a diverse understory of herbs, brush, and grasses that could not otherwise survive in this arid desert region. The life cycles of this understory vegetation in turn provide soil nutrients to the Arrayán. And of course, Vegetation also supports a diversity of animal life, including indigenous humans. Archaeologists have found remnants of Incan structures in and near the Lomas, suggesting that people, too, have historically relied on its specific fog capture and resultant greenery for sustenance in this barren desert environment. Arrayán shares its Lomas habitat with forest papaya, slender-billed finch, Atiquipa scorpion, tara tree, Atiquipa yaltomata, white-tailed deer, pygmy cactus, rufous-collared sparrow, northern house wren, short-tailed field tyrant, fiddlewood, mountain papaya, colpeo fox, blackish oyster catcher, wild guinea pig, long-spined acacia, guanaco, turkey vulture, Andean lapwing, Peruvian mouse, vermilion flycatcher, and many, many more. In the dream, in drought, a longing. In the dream, an anticipation of the soft, sweet, life-giving fog. And then to bathe in it, to sip the cloud soak, to drink from the sky, to wet my lips on the gray blanketing air. And to hold it, and to give it, to tune myself, my body, my instrument, to the song cycle of water and wind, to know my place, to hit my cues, to sing my notes full-throated. A rich harmony in the grand chorus of living things. In the dream. Historically, the population of the Arrayán has been reduced by anthropogenic, that's human-caused, habitat destruction, fragmentation, and direct collection. Evidence suggests the Lomas were once significantly more widespread up and down the Peruvian coast. Today, reduced to less than 100 discrete locations, in which the Arrayán is only found in 6. Human settlements and infrastructure expansion, like roads and dams, have destroyed and fragmented the habitat, and historically, the tree was harvested as timber for firewood and for building construction. there is some evidence that occasional, though now illegal, harvesting continues today. Additionally, human-introduced domesticated grazers are both an historic and contemporary threat. Overgrazing by cattle, goats, and horses affects Arrayán seedlings. They are consumed and are trampled. And this grazing diminishes the understory growth upon which the adult trees rely. Some research suggests that this shrinking and fragmenting habitat is also affecting the Arrayán's potential pollinators, that there may not be ample pollinating species to ensure continued strong reproduction. Successful regeneration was always a little precarious, given its recalcitrant seeds and its reliance on these highly specialized climate conditions. And so, of course, human-induced climate change is a substantial immediate threat. As our world warms due to persistent human over-reliance on fossil fuel, global weather patterns are shifting. And the Arrayán's lomas habitat is only possible due to these very particular air and water current patterns. Global warming threatens to disrupt those cycles. Fortunately, the Arrayán and the Peruvian lomas in general are seeing conservation activity. The tree is legally protected both nationally and internationally. And in 2011, the Peruvian Ministry of the Environment established the Lomas de Atiquipa ACP. This is a private conservation area that protects a portion of the Arrayán's population. Interestingly, what private means in this arrangement is that the site is managed by the local rural community that lives within and depends upon the Lomas ecosystem. This is an effort to align the long-term ecological health of the Lomas with the economic well-being of its residents. In the past roughly 20 years, off-site cultivation and reintroduction programs have unfortunately proven fairly unsuccessful, in part due to the sensitivity of the species seeds, which makes seed banking impossible and cultivation challenging. And a 2010s reintroduction program was thwarted when fences installed to protect from herbivores were breached. The grazers managed to get through, injuring the newly regrowing population. Recently, though, research in 2023 on micropropagation of the tree looks promising. This is an innovative process in which a plant tissue culture is used to grow a large number of new plants from a tiny amount of source material. So scientists took extremely small cuttings of the Arrayán and were able to successfully cultivate multiple viable individuals. That work, as well as continued research into on-site indigenous cultivation practices, is ongoing. Nevertheless, the Arrayán has been considered critically endangered on the IUCN Red List since 2014, and their population is currently in decline. Our most recent counts estimate that less than 586 Arrayán remain in the wild. Information for today's show about the Arrayán was compiled from Botanic Gardens Conservation International, from the Field Museum of Natural History Botanical Series, Volume 13, Part 4, Number 2, from the IUCN, from the Missouri Botanical Garden, from PLOS 1, Volume 6, Number 8, from the Proceedings of the 7th Brazilian Technology Symposium, from Revista Peruana de Biologia, Volume 26, Number 2, from Tree Physiology, Volume 32, Issue 1, and from the UNESCO World Heritage Convention. For more information about Arrayán and Lomas Fog Oases conservation, please see Huarango Nature Peru at huarangonature.org and the SPDA Peru at spda.org.pe. Okay, so now I would like to perform some music in hopes of holding a space to be in contemplation of the other lives with whom we share our earth. I do not intend to put meaning upon or extract meaning from the Arrayán. Instead, I want this music to be a simple expression of my human awe and a moment to consider the interrelationship of all life, and in particular, as some species may near extinction. And so I will sit in a space of sound and awe and contemplation, and I warmly invite you to join me. I honor the life force of the Arrayán. I will commit its name to my record. I am so grateful to have shared time on our planet with this beautiful being. I lament the ways in which I and my species have harmed and diminished this species. I grieve. And so in the name of the Arrayán, I pledge to reduce my consumption, my carbon footprint, and my wastefulness. I pledge to acknowledge and attempt to address the costs of my actions and my inactions. I pledge to resist the harm of plant and animal kin and their habitats by individuals, corporations, and governments. I forever pledge my song to the witness and memory of all life, to a broad celebration of biodiversity, and to the total liberation of all beings. This has been Bada Goodbyes. Thank you for listening. Until next time, let's take care of each other and all of our kin. Goodbye.